Hi, I'm Jake Dodd, Assistant Professor of Cinema Production in the SUNY Oswego Cinema and Screen Studies program. And I'm going to talk about the genesis of our science fiction anthology series, Spectral Transmission. So I am executive producer of the series, Spectral Transmission, and also working with the students and advising in many other areas, such as story and screenwriting. And on the second episode, episode 2, our first 16mm project, I'll be the cinematographer. This project started back when I first came into the department, which is a very welcoming and warm place, a place that's accepting of ideas. And I sat down with students outside my office, and we were shooting some ideas around of just different types of projects we'd like to explore. And one of the ideas that I've been working on for a long time, just toying around in my head, was the idea of a science fiction anthology series. So a series that is in the vein of Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone, Leslie Stevens' The Outer Limits, and Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. So just hitting the ideas around outside the office, I met a group of Bryans and an Andrew, and they were in my Introduction to Cinema Production class. And so we would just sit around outside my office before and after class, throwing some ideas out there, pitching each other thoughts. What would we call the series? And I remember that vividly, that we sat in my office after class. We were probably there 2 hours using thesaurus and trying to figure out, how do we define this series? How do we capture the feeling without playing too much homage to the others? And that's when we kept kind of coming back to the signal transmission, which, that catches on The Outer Limits, and then sort of this otherworldly place, something that is intangible, very much an apparition, and that's where we were going towards spectral. We thought this just makes perfect sense. The spectral transmission, it kind of, encapsulates a broad range of different stories that could be there. Stories about memory, stories about time, stories about, ghosts, so it could range. You could have stories that are more fantasy, more that lean towards horror, more towards science fiction. So once we had that defined, then it was about, how do we put our identity together? All of the classic series were shot on film, on 35mm black and white film. And I think that definitely adds. Anything that you put into the project, aesthetic, content, creates the overall feeling. That's what it becomes. So you take one thing out and it no longer is that. So we felt that the series captured a certain mystery and magic, partly, and largely, I should say, maybe not just partly, but largely due to the cinematography and shooting on celluloid. And if you look at Outer Limits, a lot of episodes were shot by Conrad Hall, the Academy Award-winning cinematographer behind American Beauty and The Road to Perdition. So I think learning the whole production model of television is definitely one of our what we're getting out of this in terms of creative process. So that's another part. We wanted to establish this is going to have a unique look that's shot on black and white film. And of course, where we needed to go from there was figuring out how to fund the project. One of the great things about the universities, SUNY Oswego, is that there's many grant opportunities. And one of the grant opportunities that we stumbled upon was the Student Faculty Challenge Grant. And this grant is given to collaborative projects with faculty and students working together. So what a perfect opportunity to apply for this grant to get this project off the ground. So this year, in 2013, we applied for the grant, and we were awarded the grant. And so this made it possible for us to shoot 2 episodes on 16mm. And of course have the entire summer where the students are here on campus for 12 weeks working together on the project. Now before this, we did shoot and are working on our pilot episode, which was shot on digital video, which is what we needed to do in order to get others on board and get the project rolling. Our main goal, I think, for the summer is really to experiment, try new techniques, actually study and become familiar with traditional filmmaking. And I think that's important. I feel like that element of production has been somewhat lost with very immediate tools, working with film, working with analog audio, looking at how the camera sees subjects, stepping back, being patient with our shots. I think when we were looking at the duration of shots and the type of shots in the Sci-Fi anthology, like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, there's a certain cinematic power. Even though these were television shows, they were really working like film productions. So I think working in that way, holding quality high, while also making a very entertaining show, and infusing that with current ideas, being able to look at the news, look at what's written in journals, what's being spoken here on blogs. So what are issues of today, and being able to put that into fictional stories. So this is my thing. I guess it's sort of been in this obsession for a while with these series, and also, of course, bringing my passion for cinematography and celluloid filmmaking. It just felt like a perfect marriage and a good time with the team that we had. And we also have Annie Palmer, who's come on board too, and bringing a different perspective and leading us in our promotional campaign, and helping us to really define ourselves and keep our project going forward. I don't see the students as students. I see them as partners and collaborators and peers in this project. And I think that's really important about the way that the Student Faculty Challenge Grant works, is that we are in it together, and we don't look down in any which way upon one another, and we seamlessly discuss and give each other responsibilities and respect each other's feedback. I hope that we're gonna come away with 2 solid episodes this summer and establish the series entirely for more generations. So not just this summer we're done with this project, but this can be an ongoing student club or organization in which students from various disciplines, not just cinema and screen studies or broadcasting, but theater and business and history and philosophy, a place where students can come together and work on projects in a very exciting, fun way that you can see the result, and that others will also see and experience it too. We're making the show for all ages, and I think that's sort of one of the beauty parts of this, is that we don't have to be overly serious. Episodes can be so different, and I think that's the strength of the series, of bringing the whole campus together, the other disciplines, the other fields, and really setting something aside that SUNY Oswego will have creative content for the future, and will be known for this television series.